get more on this now with Makram Rabah. He's an assistant professor of history at the American University of Beirut. Makram, what do you make of this ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah?
Well, from day one, I have branded this not as a ceasefire, but rather a temporary security arrangement for the next 60 days. In case all of the elements of this so-called ceasefire are respected, I think we can transition into a peacetime political negotiations. At the moment, there's no real emphasis on the reconstruction process. And while it's always a joyous occasion to celebrate a ceasefire at the end of hostilities, these people who were trickling and quickly back to their villages only got to see the rubbles of their homes and their burned photo albums. No one has the ability now, and here we're not only talking about the financial ability, but rather there's no political leverage whatsoever for the Lebanese government to be able to establish a kind of security network that would see the international community and, more importantly, the Arab Gulf come to our aid like they did in 2006. And this is actually the more unfortunate fact on the ground.
Now, the Lebanese military, together with international peacekeepers, they will have the task of preventing another Hezbollah buildup at the southern border in southern Lebanon. Do they have what it takes, do you think, to stop Hezbollah if Hezbollah decides it wants to reestablish itself there?
Well, I don't think anyone is under the impression that the Lebanese army wants to clash directly with Hezbollah. However, having these Lebanese troops flying a Lebanese flag on the border sends a message that Lebanon and its state is trying to protect Lebanon's sovereignty, just like in a similar manner like the Jordanian or the Egyptian army does. However, I think now the real battleground has shifted from the south of the Litani into Syria and into the east of the country, in the Beqa Valley, where Hezbollah has the remaining stockpiles of missiles and men. So ultimately, I think this is just a kind of a change of scenery, because we have seen Hezbollah over the last 2 days withdraw from the south of Lebanon. But this doesn't mean that they're even willing to sit down and talk about disarming and ultimately, as we hope, maybe naively to believe that they can actually integrate into the Lebanese army.
So Hezbollah remains a force to be reckoned with. Hezbollah has long built up its influence in Lebanon, weakening the role of the state. Where does the country go from here?
Well, there's actually two ways forward. One is very simple, which is a civil war. And here I say simple because killing each other isn't really something one has to work hard on. But the other more difficult option for Lebanon and for the Lebanese is to build a state that will render the idea of Hezbollah futile, and a country which can protect all of its people, including the Shiites of the south of Lebanon, which for one reason or another believe that the weapons of Hezbollah and the weapons of Iran can actually protect them. So it's either we build or we continue to fall into this pit of misery and destruction, which has been self-inflicted, but also Iran has played a very dangerous role in nurturing this idea of the lack of statehood, which has destroyed Lebanon over and over again.
I wanted to ask you about Iran, because Hezbollah does get massive support from Iran. Even though Hezbollah has not commented officially on the ceasefire, Iran has welcomed it. What do you make of that? Well,
at the end of the day, Hezbollah is just a branch of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. And the fact that now they are being not monitored, but rather being administered by these revolutionary guards which have taken over after the demise of Hezbollah's senior leadership, makes it clear that in his last visit to Lebanon, Ali al-Rijani, the advisor to the Iranian supreme leader, was the person who has instated that a ceasefire is possible. So moving forward, I think this is a regional war which has played out in Lebanon between Israel and Iran. However, I think the Lebanese have to be more selfish, and they have to be mindful that the war will continue between Iran and Israel. And we are actually looking forward at least to a kind of a confrontation, because everyone knows that Iran will hit, but no one knows when.
Makram, thank you very much for talking with us. That was Makram Rabah, a historian at the American University of Beirut. Thank you.